Degrees, minutes, seconds conversions. So remember that 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. Okay, so what I'm really trying to do here is I'm trying to take 3/5 of a degree, or 3/5 of 60 minutes. If you take a fractional part of something, of usually means you're going to be multiplying. So we're really just multiplying 3/5 times 60. And lots of different ways you can do that. You can get 180 over 5, and then you can go ahead and divide that out. It's actually a little bit quicker. That ends up being 36, by the way. So it ends up being 127 degrees and 36 minutes. Hopefully you've seen this in previous courses. You could also do what's called cross-canceling. 5 goes into itself once, 5 goes into 60 12 times. 3 times 12 is 36. 1 times 1 is 1. And get your answer 36 potentially without having to go to a calculator. Same thing here on this next one. It's 3/8. So I'm going to take 3/8 of 60. So 3/8 times 60. And this one's kind of interesting because when you do this one, you're actually going to get a decimal. You're going to end up with 22.5. Okay? So what's happening is you've got 40 degrees. Whole number part of degrees doesn't change. The whole number part here of 22, that's going to be your minutes. And then we've got a half a minute left, which means we want to convert that into seconds. We haven't seen that a lot in these problems. So, you can use that as 0.5 or half. But anyway, I want to take half of 0.5 times 60 seconds. And of course, that's 30 seconds. And so, anyway, a little bit less likely to show up in the test, but it could show up. Going the other way around, turning into a mixed number. Remember, anytime you're doing that mixed number, that fraction is always a part out of a whole, right? So your part here is 48 out of a total of 60. So you've got 22 and you've got 48 sixtieths is your fraction. And you can just simplify that fraction. 48 and 60 are both divisible by 4. They're both divisible by 12, actually. So 48 divided by 12 is 4. 60 divided by 12 is 5. So 22 and 4/5 degrees, or be 22.8 if you want to turn it into a decimal. Same kind of thing here. You're going to get 92 degrees. It's going to be your whole number. Your part is 10 out of a whole of 60, which simplifies down to 1/6. So 92 and 1/6 degrees. All right, they tell us this angle is acute. We want the restrictions. So basically, we want the range of values that x can be between. And to be an acute angle, the angle needs to be greater than 0, and it needs to be less than 90. And so 4x minus 4 needs to be between those two values. When I was taught to solve inequalities, I just do them as two separate statements. So 4x minus 4 needs to be greater than 0, and 4x minus 4 needs to be less than 90. And you can just solve these separately. Remember that for inequalities, you can basically solve these like equations, add, subtract, multiply, and divide both sides the same way. The only thing that changes the direction of the inequality symbol is multiplying or dividing by a negative, which is going to flip all your signs in your problem. So I can add 4 on both sides here, totally okay. I can divide by 4, totally okay. We're going to end up with x being greater than 1. Over here we can add 4. And we have 4x is less than 94. 94 is not divisible by 4, so we're going to get a decimal here. It's going to be that x is less than 23.5. And really, you should put these two things together. X is greater than 1, and it's less than 23.5. Normally, we would say that x is between 23.5 and 1. Probably right in that final form. All right? Next one, DCB, that is this angle right here, measures 2x plus 4 degrees. And angle DCB is congruent to DBC, so that's another 2x plus 4, because those two angles are congruent. ABE, which is this angle over here, is 4x plus 3. And they tell me that EB bisects angle ABD. So angle ABD is bisected. That means the two parts of the angle are the same. So that'll give us another 4x plus 3 there. Wants me to find the measure of angle DCF, which is actually this angle out here. So I think I just want to get the variable values and then start filling things into the diagram is probably the way to go. Remember, when you're writing equations, things either will add up to a total, or perhaps you'll have two things that are equal that you can set equal. They do need to be written two different ways. So for example, I don't want to set 4x plus 3 equal to 4x plus 3. Does everybody see here you have a straight angle? These three angles add up to 180 degrees. I think that's what I'm going to use. So I've got a 4x plus 3 and a second 4x plus 3 and that 2x plus 4. And all of that, those three angles, have to add up to a straight angle, 180 degrees. So we have a total here of 10 x's. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10. And that has to be 180. You can subtract 10 on both sides. We get 10x is equal to 170. If we divide by 10, x is going to be equal to 17. And then we can fill in the 17 here. We want the measure we want the measure of DCF, which is this angle out here. If we can find the angle here, these two angles should add up to 180 degrees, and then we have it. So if I put a 17 in there, 2 times 17 is 34, and we're going to add 4 to that, and that's going to be 38 degrees. Sorry, it's getting a little messy here. If this angle here is 38 degrees, we can subtract that from 180, and I think that's going to be 142. So it's going to be 142 degrees, ends up being our final answer there. All right, and then the last one down here, angle 1 and 2 are in a 7:2 ratio. What's the measure of angle 1? So what we're saying is if we broke the angle up into equal sized parts, 7 parts would go with angle 1, 2 parts would go with angle 2. So whatever this order is, these two numbers will match up in the same order. Okay, so the 7 matches up with angle 1, 2 matches up with angle 2. So the way I prefer to do this is just to say I have 7 parts of the same size going with angle 1. I'll call that 7x. And I have 2 parts at the same size going with angle 2. And same kind of thing, I've got to ask myself, do I have things that are equal or that add up to a total? They didn't tell me the angle is being bisected. They didn't say those angles are congruent. But I do know that those two angles are going to go together to make a straight angle. So 7x plus 2x is going to be equal to 180 degrees. It's 9x equals 180 degrees. That means x is going to be equal to 20 if we solve that. And then we can sub the 20 back in. So 7 times 20 is 140 degrees for that angle there. And 2 times 20 on the other side is going to give us 40 degrees for that angle. So that is our final answer.